G'day guys, this is your bubbly host, H2O Queen. I hope my Dream Team family and viewers are well. If you go ahead and click on my Twitch link in the description below for my scheduled times, I do stream every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, and if you go ahead and give me a cheeky follow while you're there, it would be much appreciated. I have spent a lot of time creating this video over the last few days. I had this idea maybe a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't know how to initiate it or what to do. So over time, I've just been getting some information and stuff on how to best present this video to you. And this is going to be my top 10 guide list for amateur, intermediate, and professional players. This is also going to be focused more so on amateur and intermediate levels. There will be some more information for more professional players if you guys want to stick on towards the end of my video, but if you can stick all the way through and watch it, it would be greatly appreciated. If you guys also go into my description below, you'll be able to see some timestamps. I think that it also does work on YouTube player itself, so make sure you guys jump on ahead if you would prefer something a little bit more in-depth. Either way, it should work, guys. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to get straight into this. I will try and keep this as short and sweet as I possibly can. However, at the time of recording this, I really have no idea how long this is going to be. But I know it's going to be very informative and helpful, and I hope you guys do enjoy. Number 1. What is Phasmophobia? Phasmophobia is a paranormal investigation game. You can play this game solo, although for a better experience I prefer multiplayer. However, each and every for their own. I play a role as a paranormal investigator, and my task is to find the ghost room and identify what the ghost is. Although it sounds repetitive, it actually isn't. Each game is like a puzzle. The ghost behavior and ghost appearances keep fresh every game. The only time you can die is when a ghost hunts. A hunt is incited when you drop to a certain sanity level that matches the ghost criteria to hunt, depending on what type it is. Number 2. What is the lobby room? I just want to take a quick detour before we jump into the lobby room. So if you guys aren't already in beta mode, I highly recommend that you guys switch over. If you guys do want to make the switch, make sure that you guys go into your Steam client, scroll all the way down and click on your Phasmophobia game. You will see the green button. Over to the far right, you will see a cog, an information symbol, followed by a star. We want you to go ahead and click on the manage, go ahead and click on properties, and you'll see in the left hand side you'll have general updates and so forth. So go ahead and left click on betas. You guys will probably be on none. Make sure you go ahead and click on beta unstable build. It will give you an update, and go ahead and fulfill that update. So the reason why I highly recommend switching it over to beta, not only will you get the updates live, but the beta mode has simple quality of life things, such as being able to place candles without throwing them. Beta mode does not have the all button, whereas the non-beta does not have the all button, whereas the beta mode does. And you also get like a realistic experience with the ghost behavior and hunting patterns, which are currently not available in the non-beta mode. And, you know, even simple things of being able to select your map difficulty, which is only available in the beta mode. Without further ado, guys, I'm going to switch back over and we'll continue on with the lobby room. I am going to go on ahead and boot up my game. If you guys did decide to switch over to beta build, welcome on in. So as my game currently loads, I will be eventually greeted by the lobby room. As you guys can see, this is the lobby room. So this is a place where you can come in and wait, especially if you are going to be playing with content creators like streamers. Sometimes you might have long waits. This is a really good place to come in and shoot some hoops or play dodgeball with other players if they so desire. But one of my personal favorites that I really do enjoy doing is grabbing out some spray cans and stacking them as shown. That is really cool. Or you can also create word art, or even better yet is create some spray can pyramids over here. Now, as you guys can see, this is the whiteboard. This is where all your main activity goes. You press the space bar and it'll take you directly there. So we have 2 different panels, plus we have our menu. So over onto our left, we have the stats. My level is 1093. Experience I need to level up is 19 experience. And then my money is 73,892. Now, the reason why my money is so high is that I am the type of player that does not like to be hunted. And I also play a lot of multiplayer, which does boost up my money levels a lot. Especially if you do professional runs, and I only play professional, guys. There is no need for me to do amateur or intermediate. I'm past that. The only time I would revert back to those if I'm learning a new map and I want to have confidence without being hunted. Also, there are some new equipment coming our way. We're going to be getting some SLS cameras and some night vision goggles. I don't know when they are being released, but I do want to stash up my money because I hear they're going to be quite expensive, so I want to make sure that I am well prepared for that. Now, before we do anything, we're going to go, I'm going to just hover over here. There is this training button. If you guys are new to the game and are feeling confident and are happy to go into the Tanglewood map, which is where you'll learn your training on how to use equipment and stuff like that, this is a place where you'll be safe and the ghost will not hunt you, so I highly recommend it. But players like me who did not feel safe, I went ahead and was in multiplayer and learnt the game that way. My first experience was, I think I was on the Edgefield map in October of last year when the PJ Girl Ghost model was quite new at the time. I was with a friend and they'll teach me how to run, which is Shift W for the newer players. And yeah, I was coming up from the basement staircase, looked behind me, and I was like, ooh, what's that thing behind me? And yeah, she bet me to it and got me. So that was my first ever death experience in Phasmophobia. And this is also where you can go into the item store and spend your money and top up on equipment, especially if you died. I choose not to stock up more than 10. I don't really see a need for that, so I just save up my money instead. But this is really important to also stock up as well, especially if you die as well when in multiplayer or in solo. Make sure, guys, as well that you go into options. This is pretty much the first thing you should do, actually, even before training. If you guys click on audio, make sure that your mic is properly synced. If your mic is not properly synced, unfortunately, the ghost will not be able to interact with you, especially if you're using Spirit Box. Also very handy if you're trying to call out the ghost's name and also interact with the Ouija board if you guys do decide to do so. So we are going to go on ahead and we're going to go click on play. So as you go on to the server lobby room, you'll see create public, create private. You'll be able to select your different type of region that you want to go to. And then down the bottom, you have join private game, refresh and back. The refresh button works, especially if you're trying to join a public room. In this instance, at the time of recording, there are no public rooms, but just hit the refresh button and one will surely show up that you can go ahead and join. But for the instance of this tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and create a private lobby. If you guys are new to this, your equipment list will be very basic. You'll have an EMF reader, a flashlight, a photo camera, a UV light, video camera, spirit box, and ghost writing. As you guys continue up on the levels, you'll be able to unlock more equipment. One of them will be the strong flashlight, which is not available when you first start off. But if you are in multiplayer, you'll unlock that pretty quickly. This is also really handy. You can, if you are in the beta mode, you can reveal and unreveal your code. Also, you can copy and you can also see what region you guys are in. So that's really handy, especially if you need to know your PIN. and there's going to be some delay when you are joining maps. So we are going to go on ahead and we're going to select a job. Now, before I start selecting a contract, I just want to have a quick breakdown. There are 12 different maps from memory before we have any new ones coming in. There are supposed to be apartment and mansion, which are currently in production as we speak. They have not been officially released at the time that I create this video. So you'll be able to go on here and pick whatever map. It is random. So what I have here will be definitely different next time. But if you guys are new or starting out, I highly recommend that you go for amateur players, Tanglewood, Ridgeview or Edgefield. For intermediate players, I recommend all the above houses, but you might feel comfortable leaning towards Bleasdale. But if you are playing Bleasdale, I recommend that you carry around a candle. Very handy, especially if you're learning new maps, not just this one, but any map. It will help reduce the sanity. Now, I don't know, it might be bugged out in some instances, but the candle reducing sanity might not work on all maps, just to be aware of that. Also, you do have the addict, which is quite scary, especially for newer players, and especially if your ghost is located up there. Yeah, very difficult to sometimes get evidence, but definitely if you want a little bit more of a challenge, yeah, Bleasdale's the way to go. Now, for intermediate and professional players, you might be leaning towards, maybe if you have experience with Bleasdale, go into Grafton. But definitely for professional players, I highly recommend Prison, High School and Asylum in no particular order. These are really, really good for learning. Again, make sure that you guys bring in a candle and some lighters. This is really good, especially when exploring a new map, as I shared earlier. It will just help reduce sanity, and especially if you get lost, you guys can just find your way back easier. Always remember, you can always hit your escape key at any time and it will bring you back to the lobby room if you guys do get lost and a little bit panicked. So just bear in mind as well that if you guys do decide to go to Grafton as well, the reason why I say keep that for more of the intermediate professional players, it is a unique map. It is the only map that does not have any closets or lockers. These are really important hiding places for you guys as investigators, especially if your sanity does drop down depending on what the ghost requirement is. You guys really just don't want to be hiding in a room, especially if you are in the beta build. Ghosts are known to wander through doors quite casually. Even when holding them, sometimes you can get unlucky. The ghosts will sometimes get a hold of you and you will die as they are wandering through the doors. So I highly recommend that you might just want to dabble on playing Grafton for when you've got more experience. But for the instance of my guide, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on Ridgeview. If you are in the beta build, you guys can select through your difficulty level, which is really awesome and it helps. Yeah, and just make sure you guys play within your comfort, because there's nothing worse for newer players if they get absolutely so terrified that you guys won't open up the game again. So make sure you do what is within your comfort level. There is no right or wrong when playing this game. And before I hit the select button, I am going to go on ahead and I will talk about number 3 in just a bit. Number 3, listening to keywords from the radio transceiver. Alright guys, so we're continuing off from where we last left. We're at Ridgeview Roadhouse and we have selected our difficulty as being professional. We are going to go in and add in all of our equipment. As I was sharing it previously, if you are in the non-beta build, you are going to have to individually click all your items. The all button is not available to you guys, I am sorry to say. I'm not going to add in any head-mounted cameras. Those are only pretty much useful for multiplayers. They have another faction name. They're also called death cameras. So if you are in the van at the time a ghost hunts and if you're able to identify where your teammate dies, you can go back and take a photo of their body. Only really useful if they are on amateur or intermediate level. You don't receive any insurance for a dead body when you are on a professional level. So we have also going to ready up. We're going to click on start, and as soon as this loads up, we are going to run right towards the radio transceiver.
Right, here. Take a look at the equipment and prepare accordingly before starting the investigation. I've also written some notes on the whiteboard if you need them. New intel. Reports of light switching. Possibly harmless, but be careful out there.
Okay, so as you just heard, our boss manager, I don't know what you guys really want to call him, has informed it that there have been reports of light switching. Now, the two type of main ghosts that I know that like to play with switches a lot are jinns and mares. Jinns like to have their light on, that's where they get their power boost from. Mares, on the other hand, are completely opposite jinns and get their power boost from having the lights off. Jinns are known to run as fast as a revenant, and once they have caught up, revenant jinns will run as average as any other ghost type, but definitely not as fast as a revenant. So this is really important, this radio transceiver, guys. I can't stress it enough. I know it's really easy to get distracted when you are with your fellow teammates and just to grab the keys, your evidence, equipment, and just get straight to the front door and start playing. However, the reason why I absolutely just love the radio transceiver, especially as a solo player, I have found in so many instances that I can use these keywords to be able to help me discern a ghost type. I can't always label that light switching is going to be relevant to just jinns and mares. Other ghost types too can play with light switches, but in most times or not, if you have got an option to select between ghost types and you know it has been playing with lights a lot, I can guarantee you that what has been shared on the overhead transceiver can be taken as trustworthy. However, do make sure that you double check and triple check your evidence before you do leave. It isn't always accurate, but it certainly is helpful if you do get stuck. Just make sure we're going to switch over now to number 4, the van and everything within it that you need to know. Number 4, and everything you need to know within the van. Number 4. Number 4. The van and everything within it you need to know. I've had to re-record this section, guys, so I do apologize. I have already grabbed the key. As you guys can see, I had a little bit of an audio issue. As you guys can see, as you do arrive, because this is such a condensed space, it is rather overwhelming to see everything happening all at once. So you've got the board, you've got like the blackboard or black chart, whatever you guys want to call it. You've got your cameras and you've got your equipment. So what I tend to usually do is go over here and I would go and pick up my key, which in this instance I already have. I would come over here and I would read my optional objectives. Now, by all means, you don't have to do this. It is only optional, as it says, but it does give you some extra money. If you're learning a new map, by all means, feel free to just go in and gather the evidence. And if you feel comfortable enough, for sure, go ahead and do this. So after you've completed all the evidence, objective 1 is on every single game. And it will be crossed off once you leave, as it says in the red writing below. Some objectives only complete when you leave, and that's relevant to objective 1. So objectives 2, 3, and 4 tend to circulate and rotate through. So in this instance, we've got to prevent a ghost from hunting with a crucifix, detect a ghost presence with a motion sensor, and we also need to have a member of your team witness a ghost event. We know the ghost name is Robert Johnson. However, because I'm playing professional, it is unknown to me if the ghost responds alone or everyone, although it's irrelevant because I am playing this alone. However, that is some really important factors to note if you are playing amateur or intermediate. Do note that down. It can really help. Same with knowing the ghost's name. Sometimes you might need to say it to antagonize it just a little bit to get it to react or do something. But just be aware, depending on where a ghost spawns doesn't necessarily mean that is where the ghost's haunting room is at. So just keep that in mind. As we move on over here, we are presented with our dwelling map. So that can be like a lot relevant to like an asylum, prison, high school. We've got all the residential houses and plus the farmhouses. So if we go over here, there's a little button here. So essentially what this does is that this rotates to the level of the map. So as we can see here, we have a little green box with a lightning bolt. That there is your breakup. Now, feel free to jump on to Google if you don't know what this room is at. In this instance, I know it is the garage. You guys will see some red lines and some green lines. Green lines means your entries and your exits. Red means it's the spots you cannot exit from. They are usually windows, but not always. There can be doors too, but some of them might not be accessible. We also have over here is sound sensors. I'm just going to go behind me for a second. And these white little boxes here are sound sensors. Those they're identified by how close a ghost is to a sound sensor. The closer it is, the higher it will react, and it will go all the way up to number 1, depending on how close it is. A really, really good way to detect a ghost, especially on a larger map such as prison, high school, or asylum. Now, I will go into detail about this in number 6, but this is your team sanity. The average is only available in beta mode, but there you have it. I will explain it again further. And then we have the total activity. This used to correlate with the EMF. It still does, but if we go behind, the EMF is this white little gadget right here. And what this does is that it will give a reading on when you get close to the ghost. Number 1 is the green default. Will just mean that it's on. Anywhere between a reading of 2 to 3 means it's interacting with an object. And same with number 4. And then number 5 usually means the ghost is trying to manifest. So that is also really good key as well, because if you're trying to avoid a hunt, if you see an EMF 5, usually means get ready, it's going to hunt, depending if you meet the criteria for your sanity level, and to go and hide. Or it can be a will just manifest so you can take a photo, which is also really handy as well. So if we go behind me, from on the top shelf, going from left to right, these little bottles over here are sanity pills. These are used to increase your sanity levels. I think they increase by about 40% per bottle, which is really great. These become more scarce in a larger group, so you can only have 1 per player. Whereas if I'm playing solo, I get all those 4 bottles to myself. Moving on, we have the thermometers. So that'll gauge the temperatures of the room, but it only becomes valid once the breaker is on. We have glow sticks and then a spirit box. If we go down to the second shelf, the number 5 digits on it, they are photo cameras. And then beside that, we have paramics, parabolic microphones. Then we have the EMF reader. Behind that, these little white little burritos here are smudge sticks. And then we have crucifixes. And down here on the last shelf, from left to right, we have candles, salt, and then we have ourselves some lighters. And if we go over onto our second shelving, from left to right, these black boxes here are motion sensors. These white ones are sound sensors, and the one on the far right are UV lights. Now, motion sensors are the ones you'll commonly find in most of the optional objectives. The sound sensors tend to occur if you need to be able to detect a ghost on a larger map. And the really cool thing about a UV light is that when you place one onto the wall, there'll be actually a purple light that appear when the ghost spawns through it. And then moving down, these red little lights here, these are your video cameras. We have a normal flashlight. Then we have a little purple friend over here, which is a UV light. And then down below, we have our strong flashlights and our ghost writing books. So all of that there is pretty straightforward, guys, so don't let it overwhelm you. I would go and grab the key right about now, but because I've had a recording issue, I've already grabbed it in this instance. But before we move on, I will be going on to number 5, the timer clock. Number 5, the timer clock. So as you guys may or may not see it, depending on what level you are, I'm going to quickly put on screen now some different times. So as you saw, you would have seen a 5, a 2, and like what I have now, a 0. So 5 minutes is represented by amateur level, 2 minutes is represented by an intermediate level, and 0 is for professional. What these timer clocks represent is that how long you have to set up equipment before the ghost starts hunting. So in an instant for an amateur, you will get 5 minutes of peace before the ghost starts hunting. Same again with intermediate, you'll get 2 minutes to set up, and for professionals you get no time to set up. So that means that the ghost is able to start hunting at any given time, if it so desires. These timer clocks, by all means, doesn't stop ghost activity. So if it wants to appear, it will appear. But it means it can't come and kill you whilst you try and set up, especially for the newer players and the more intermediate players. Number 6. What is sanity? We're going to go and walk ourselves down to the other end of the van. As I was sharing earlier about these 4 bottles, these are your sanity. These do increase your sanity by 40% approximately. So these do help to gauge when a ghost does or does not hunt. Again, we have a team average sanity. So what it does is that if you are in a multiplayer environment, it will calculate the average of between all of the players. So if a player is significantly on the lower end of the sanity, if they come in and take a sanity pill, it will increase the average sanity. Now, all ghosts, well, at least most ghost types will start hunting at 50% and under. There will be some types that will start hunting at 90% and under. And the thing is that so it's really important, especially if you are starting out, that you'll keep your sanity up. However, if you are doing challenges such as a no sanity run, you won't be able to use sanity pills. However, for the most instances, if you're just doing a casual multiplayer with your friends, this is a really good way to work it out. Always come back in here, having someone checking out the van every now and again for a sanity, especially if you are working with a ghost that is quite erratic or that is depleting your sanity a lot. This is also a very handy way to be able to identify a ghost type. So always come back here, guys, if you are not sure. Number 7, how the breaker works and where to find it. So we're just currently in front of the same chart, but we were from sanity. I did talk about it a bit earlier, but I will go over it again. So over here you have a white button that allows you to go through all the different levels within the dwelling depending on where you are at. So you'll keep looking through, and once you find a green icon here, and with a little lightning bolt, you know that means that the breaker is there. Now, if you guys are newer players, always feel free to go on to Google. If you just type in what your house is, and if you're looking up for it, it will have various locations of where the breaker is at, and you'll be able to identify it. Just reading through and glossing through maps is a really good way to be able to learn where certain things are located, such as I was sharing earlier, knowing the difference between the red areas and the green areas, so you know where your exits, entries are, and the places that are your windows, etc. So you know where to go throughout the map, and also your staircases too. So hopefully that helps a little bit, and we will move on to the next option, number 8. Number 8, gathering evidence and identifying the ghost. So this is the fun part you guys are probably all waiting for. I don't know how much of this I will actually demonstrate, because trying to identify the ghost in itself is pretty complex, because it takes time, and honestly we're already at a very long length through the video. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the most crucial evidence pieces that I take with me. Now, it's personal preference, because these days that the thermo doesn't have as much strength as it once used to have. A lot of players these days are now preferencing the EMF reader, which is this little white gadget that is down here. So a lot of people prefer this these days because it's a lot more easier to engage as to where the ghost is at. Now, another one I always take with me is my trusty photo camera. I always find that if you walk inside the house being unequipped with a camera, the ghost will usually spawn. So I always keep one with me in the situation of that, and then I am well prepared. And then everyone, unless you're playing like a romantic candle challenge where you're not allowed to have flashlights, strong flashlights are a must-have, not unless you're a brave player that is able to just drop the torch and go. So that is my really big suggestion with that, guys. And always remember, we're gonna lower down our ramp, and if you guys are finishing up, you can always press this to end it in case it's too soon. But the only way the ghost will start doing any activity within the house is once you have unlocked the door. And it will also trigger the clock in the van, the one that I was just telling you about earlier. The only way for the ghost to start giving activity, and the only way for the actual timer to start ticking is when you unlock this door. But like I say, I'm not going to do a complete demonstration of this, but I wanted to at least show you guys the crucial pieces of evidence that is needed in order to get in the house and get started to find this ghost. Like I say, I would love to run through with this 100%. Maybe one time I will, more in depth, but for the sake of this is probably going to be at least a 10 to 15 minute run, as it is. This tutorial's already going quite in depth now, but we will move on to number 9 in just a bit, guys. Number 9, how to use your journal. Let's just here say that you've done lots of things inside the house. You might be a quarter way through your investigation. So you will immediately be started at the beginning of the book. It happens every single map. You can always click these double arrows that will jump you straight to the evidence, which is great. But let's say you want to just read through some of the information about the ghosts. I do highly recommend this. It even gives you a step-by-step guide on how a hunter's sanity works, and as well as an introduction to ghosts. So this will tell you a little bit about ghost behaviors with a spirit, wraith, phantom, poltergeist, banshee, jinn, mare, revenant, shade, demon, yuri, and oni. These are the 12 ghosts that are currently available in the game. The journal even has the keys gathered, except for the main door and for the car keys. The other keys don't really serve a purpose. I don't know if that will ever get implemented for it to have a function, but for now it doesn't. These even go through the tools like the smudging, ghost writing, and the Ouija board, plus EMF, spirit box, freezing temperatures, fingerprints, ghost writing book. And as the guys were showing you with the photo camera earlier, all these photos will be stored here, and we'll actually run you through. And this is where it all really begins, guys. It's the last page of your journal. And let's say that you get a spirit box, ghost writing, and freezing temperatures. This will be a demon, guys. And as you go through and you circulate, you record through your evidence. Some people are able to remember all their evidences at the end, although I find it quite wise that you guys record each evidence as you find it, not unless you're in a rush to get outside the house to prevent your sanity, or in case you got severely spooked. Just make sure that you record it as soon as you do find one. It'll prevent forgetfulness from later on. Or do what I do and take photos of your evidence pieces. Freezing temperatures won't really show. EMF readers used to work when you used to photograph them, but I'm having some issues with that. I don't know if it's a bug or a feature that no longer exists. But yeah, just keep an eye out and track all of your evidence as you go along, and just be careful of not forgetting anything as you go along, but always do come back to the journal if you guys do get stuck. And once you have completed your evidence, you guys will go back into the van, press that little dial pad key, and this van will close up and take you back to the lobby, where you can perhaps start another map, or maybe you might want to just exit and leave. We'll get on to number 10, and I will give you some of my own personal tips and tricks. Number 10, tips and tricks. So these are my own little personal tips and tricks. One of them is that I know is unique to me. So we're gonna, I think we've got everything. Yep. We're going to go back over into the house for a hot second. And what we're going to do is, this is something I use a lot. I tend to find this is only really relevant when I am in a position that I'm not Grafton, for example. If you're in a spot where you got nowhere really to hide, but you might want to have a quick exit, being standing at the doorwell is really smart. Now we're going to unlock this door. So this is now officially starting the timer if I was on amateur level. Right, so there's little stairwell here. This doorwell here, right? You do not want to stand in the part close towards the hinge, because when a ghost starts hunting, you will immediately get locked in. So stand over on the furthest part here. When you hear the white noise, the ambience, that's when you know. And if you want to incite a hunt, or maybe you want to trigger the ghost to appear, especially if you're with a teammate and your teammate is struggling to get a photo, you perhaps can come in and stand at the doorwell and start calling at it. It may or may not appear near you, or it may appear near the other player. And this can be really handy, especially if you're having some hard points. But do be mindful of this tip. If you do hear the door unhinge, you need to press unlock to the S key. You'll need to press the S key as soon as possible you hear that door start unhinging. You're only going to have seconds to response, and you're going to need some fast fingers in order to back out so the door doesn't close on you and perhaps lead you to an unfortunate end. Another really good tip that I have is that for this as well, this really works for crucifix objectives. That's another reason why I do this door well objective. Really good if I want to not only get a photo but trigger the crucifix. I feel confident enough to this because I've been practicing for a long time. As far as I've seen, I don't think I've seen anyone else use this, but hey, I don't know, someone else might, and I might be just, you know, silly, and someone else might be already on top of it. But yeah, I find this little tip does help, especially if you are in a position where you can't access closets and or lockers. But yeah, if you guys are also on new maps, we'll go back over towards the van. So let's say if you are navigating a new map, I was sharing this earlier. We'll demonstrate this here. We're going to just drop this off. You guys pick up your lighter. I right click on mine to make it work, and then we use the F key and that lights up. Then again you right click onto the lighter and that will switch it off, and I grab it, and what I will do, see how the total activity chart is now going off since I've unlocked the door. See, I can pretty much with the F key I can also place down the counter, which is great, but in this instance we don't want that. So we can still carry a flashlight and a candle, which is great. But do be aware though that a candle can be blown out by a ghost. So please always have a flashlight nearby you. But my goodness, this is really handy if you're just really wanting to learn a map. If you just carry yourself a candle, a lighter, and a torch, and you just want to go around and explore, this is really good, so you guys can get used to the larger maps without being afraid. And especially if you don't have anyone to really play with, I so recommend this tip. It is really great. Also, it's going to quickly place this here by pushing the F key. Now let's say we're in an instance where to near the end of the game, we've got a couple of evidence pieces, but we can't identify what the ghost is. A really popular one to use this trick on is also a shade. And you have, at the time when you use your smudge stick, you have a 90-second window before the ghost hunts. If within that 90-second window the ghost does hunt, that means it is not a shade. This is really good, especially if you are struggling to get an EMF 5, which is what you need to get a shade. I will show you guys what the requirements are for a shade. So if we need EMF level 5, ghost orb and ghost writing. So yeah, you might be having difficulties trying to get an EMF level 5, and your sanity is pretty much just at really bad down point. Let's say it's about 40%, and the ghost has already hunted you a couple of times and you're really struggling to get the last piece of evidences. Go and light a smudge stick, walk through the room, leave and go and hide. Preferably keep a watch or a countdown clock near you and see what happens. And if it starts hunting after a minute and a half, you know it's a shade. These are some really good telltale signs to have, especially if you are struggling. Also can be used when you're using a no evidence run as well. So yeah, hopefully these my 3 little tips and tricks did help, guys. And with that concludes my top 10 list, guys, and we're gonna switch over screens. I can't thank you guys enough. I know that was an extremely long video to set through. I fortunately was doing little clippets, and I think we've well and truly reached past the 30-minute mark. This has taken me in excess of 3 hours to record, not including all of the pre-prep time that I have spent on writing up everything that I have to make this video possible, and I've also done all the editing myself. I cannot thank you guys enough for watching through this, and I hope it did help. I will be creating videos like this again in the future, and if you guys did enjoy this, please go on ahead and give this video a big thumbs up, and please smash the subscribe bell if you are not already subscribed. It all really helps, guys. I appreciate you, and please go on ahead and leave a comment below. I was going to do some Q&A questions, and I know that I've still got to do that from the previous video, but with this being a tutorial video, guys, I wanted to keep it short and sweet, but I do guarantee in my next regular video I will do the Q&A questions then. Again, I really hope this helped. This is your bubbly host, H2O Queen, over and out. Peace, love, light, and joy. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys. Take care and thank you. Bye.